Hello. All money we use today, that's wide and wide distribution, meaning all fiat paper currencies, whether it's the euro, the pound sterling, the US dollar, or the yen, are counterfeit money. Now, people say I'm crazy when I make that statement. People say, what are you talking about? It's counterfeit money. So, I am actually going to show you a very simple example that should prove indisputably that we accept counterfeit money as our exchange of medium for goods and services today. Now, I've also written a blog article this month that has Executive 6102. You can Google it in the title to find it, but I also put the link in the YouTube video description below, so you can just check out the link and go read it. But which is a much more detailed explanation. But I'm just going to give you a very simple visual graphic today that should get you to think about the fact that we all accept counterfeit money as our money today, and we should not, obviously. So today in the U.S., the national deficit is somewhere around, I don't know, $1.7 trillion, I think. But that's irrelevant because a lot of people confuse deficit with debt. So I'm not even sure if that's the correct number, but the deficit is basically, it starts at zero on January 1st of every year. So it is actually just the accumulation of national debt, of the entire national debt every year. So what's more important to look at rather than just saying, oh my God, we almost added $2 trillion as our national deficit. No, that's just the addition to national debt. So the cumulative national debt is more important. So they say the government says the official figure is 16.7 trillion, which still is an enormous amount of money. But the problem is there's all these off-balance sheet liabilities that aren't included in that number. So in other words, there's still liabilities that the government is on the hook for, but they're not reporting them. So they're just lying again, like every other official government statistic, like inflation, like unemployment, which are gross underestimations of the actual numbers that exist in America today. So if we look at the actual national debt, and that means you have to add in all the liabilities like Social Security, even though it's a Ponzi scheme, and I know that sometimes all people get mad at me when I say it's a Ponzi scheme, but it is a Ponzi scheme because they took your money, which they should have left in the Social Security fund, but they transferred it out into another fund and it's all gone, so now they have to take money from the young to give to the elderly, which is ridiculous. That is the exact definition of a Ponzi scheme. So because it is an unfunded liability, meaning those of us like me that are putting in money right now to the system, they don't have money to pay us back when we're supposed to be getting Social Security in America. So I actually think the probabilities are that people in my generation will get nothing, that the government, the bankers will screw us and just say, oh, sorry, we're out. So that's why they don't even include it in national debt. But if you include these programs that the government has promised to pay Americans, such as Social Security, such as Medicare, such as federal pension plans, and even interest on the national debt that is accruing, because they have to pay that. That is a liability in the future. So if you take this and then you subtract the number of money that they're getting from American taxpayers, the gap is the cumulative U.S. national debt. And when you add that all up together, I've heard estimates from $100 trillion, not 16.7, to $220 trillion. So let's just split the difference. Okay, let's say the conservative estimates are a little too conservative, and then the liberal estimates are a little too liberal, even though I have heard people argue that that $220 trillion figure is accurate. So let's just split the difference and say it's $160 trillion is the true national debt of America. Now, if you took $1, okay, this is $1. That is like 6.125 inches long, I believe. Yeah, 6.125 inches long. Okay, so if you took $1 and you made a trail from Earth, okay, to the moon. Okay, look at this little graphic. So I know it's really hard to see, but say here's Earth, okay, and here's Earth. Sorry, and this is the moon right here, right? So the moon is 239,000 miles away, right? So if you took a $1 bill and put it, say this is Earth and there's a moon right here, and you put them side by side, that our current national debt for America of $160 trillion could reach to the moon. Let me see, I did this calculation here. Okay, it could go to the moon and back, not once, not twice, not 10 times, but 32,358 times. Yes, that is how crazy the U.S. national debt is. Can you imagine stretching this side by side, and it could go to the moon 32,358 times. Round trip. That's to the moon and back. Okay, so now look at the same graphic, okay? So you have the Earth here, you have the moon 239,000 miles away. Our national debt can go to the moon and back, laying a dollar side by side over 32,000 times. Round trip. So it's actually over 64,000 times. So that's a round trip. Now you have over here, what I put is about 1 million miles away, okay? So it's just 4 times the length, a little, I'm just rounding 239,000 to 250,000 miles, okay? So you have the sun, right? So you see this distance from the Earth to the moon, and that over here is 1 million. So the sun is actually 93 million miles away. So you have to think, I couldn't even put the sun on this graph if I'm trying to make it somewhat to scale, because you have 1 million, you gotta imagine 93 times. So it's gonna be way, 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 all the way far to my left, okay? 93 times that. So here's the sun, 93 million miles away. So this is how ludicrous the U.S. national debt is. Remember, it is $160 trillion if you add in all the unfunded liabilities that the government is on the hook for, that they're not reporting, and they're keeping off balance sheet. So you could go not only to the moon with our national debt of $160 trillion, but you could go to the sun. To the sun. If you stacked one of these side by side, you could go to the sun, 93 million miles away, and back with our national debt. Not once, not 10 times, not 20 times, not 30 times, not 40 times, not 50 times. You can go to the sun and back 83 times with a national debt. 83 times laying down a dollar side by side from the Earth's crust to the sun. So that is insane. That alone should tell you that we are operating on a counterfeit money system. So that is how you spot counterfeit money. If you have money where a government can go into so much debt that they owe enough money where you can stack that money side by side, and it can go to the moon and back over 32,000 times, to the sun 93 million miles away, and all the way back 83 times, then you know you spotted counterfeit money. So I know, although I feel this example should be sufficient to show everyone that if you can just create, the reason that this national debt is so huge is because you can create money out of thin air. So it just assign whatever value you want to it, even though the intrinsic value of that paper is worthless, is zero. So that is why you need money backed by something like this. It's like a silver coin, right? Because this is real, you can feel it, it's actually worth something, and this is real money. But like I said, I know that this example, even though it should be obvious, patently obvious, I think, to people that we are using and accepting counterfeit money as real money today, and we flip that paradigm on its head. I explain in much more detail why all fiat currencies, not just the US dollar, but the euro, the pound sterling, the yen, are all counterfeited by the central bankers. And again, I'll put the link to the article in my blog, theundergroundinvestor.com, where you can go read about this more in detail if you don't understand what I'm saying through this example. Okay, thanks for watching. Take care.